topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, California. Welcome to another Ask the Experts, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. About 7 months ago, we started getting a lot of your letters asking us to bring on what's called a business broker. And I got to tell you, we started doing our research, and I was amazed. Even some of the companies I've heard of, the letters that were written about them were not that good. But we found a company called Zoom Business Brokers that had impeccable references and really stood out. And we are so lucky to have Sarah Bizzari with us with Zoom Business Brokers. Good afternoon, Sarah.
Hey, Steve. Sarah was with us, but she is having a little bit of a complication with her communications right at this moment. So maybe we can tell everybody a little bit about where she's located.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, Sarah's been with us for about 3 months now. And actually, one of her clients actually contacted us and told her what a great job she did for them. And it was a great reference. But what Sarah does is she's in the business of selling businesses. And I'm going to tell you, because about 10 years ago, I was trying to sell my business. It was a nightmare. I had people calling my store. My employees found out about it. And I got to tell you that it was a horrible experience. I also found out later on, because I eventually did retain a business broker, that I had actually put a dollar sign on my business, and it really wasn't worth that. You know, your business is like your baby, and sometimes you think it's worth a lot more than it really is. So I went a year of talking to a lot of what I call tire kickers, wasted a lot of my time. I'm out there trying to sell my business at a much higher value than it was really worth. Phone calls coming in to my store, scaring my employees. It was just one nightmare after another. A friend of mine said, "Why don't you get a business broker?" Of course, my first question was, what is a business broker? How are they going to sell my business better than I can? Even though it had been a year since I'd sold my business. But I finally decided to hire a business broker, and it changed my entire life. First of all, the business broker showed me that how much my business was really worth. And if I had a chance of selling it, then I had to change my numbers. Also, that I didn't need people calling my store, scaring my employees. And there was so much that I learned. Oh, there she is. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I'm so sorry. Apparently, my
Not a
connection
problem.
was.
I was actually telling people about my experience, me trying to sell my business myself versus hiring a broker, and how much it changed my life, Sarah, when I finally got smart and hired a business broker. Uh, Tell people about you and your company.
Sure. My name is Sarah Vaziri, and I'm the president of Zoom Business Broker. We are a boutique business brokerage. So, our main office is in Southern California, and our team together has sold businesses for more than 230 years. The other day we were adding together, and that was exact number. So we help people sell their businesses when they want to exit, and that's what we do.
Well, I was telling people how I used to get phone calls at my store. It scared my employees, a lot of what I call tire kickers, and mostly the price tag I put on my business, it wasn't anything close to reality. And actually, I never had a chance. I didn't know this. I never had a chance until I did hire a business broker who actually showed me what my business was worth and that everything is confidential. And I am the biggest proponent now of business brokers.
Yes, for most of the people, this is one of the most important decisions in their lives. That's why it's important, and nobody has done it more than one or two times. There are few people who are serial entrepreneurs who have done it several times. For most of the people, they start a business, they have it for 30, 40 years, and then they want to exit. That's their first experience, but it's very important. And if it's not done correctly, then they can lose easily what they have built over the years. So it's really important to use help from somebody who has done it several times so they can manage it correctly and they can successfully get it to the end.
You know, I was kind of explaining before you came on how the business broker that I finally ended up hiring helped me tremendously. What exactly does a business broker do?
Sure. So business broker is the project manager from 0 to 100, for everything that's needed to be done in order for a business to be sold successfully. Now, it starts always from valuation of the business. The first thing, whenever I talk to a new client, or prospect client, the first thing is about the valuation of the business. So it's really important that the seller knows approximately what would be the most probable selling price for a business if we go to the market today. Because, a lot of people, the business is the main portion of their whole net worth. So they need to know exactly after their exit how much money they get after the taxes and everything net, and whether they will be able to manage their business using that money or not. There have been situations that after the valuation, the seller told me, I won't be able to live with this money, so I need to work for a couple of more years in order to get there. So that's the first step, that the valuation, and make sure that number works for them. And after that, we help them to package the business, because as you correctly said, the process of selling a business is very different and we need to keep the whole process confidential. So we need to prepare packages for different steps. For pre-NDA, when we want to advertise the business, we want to show main feature of the business to attract buyers, but we don't want to say which business we are talking about. So we need to give them just initial information that's enough for them to know if that could be something they're interested in or not. And then after preparing all of these packages, pre-NDA, post-NDA due diligence, that's the time that we go to the market. We start advertising to grab the attentions, then we talk to the buyers. And, after talking to thousands of people, when I talk to somebody, I know if they are serious, if they're really buyer or just tire kickers, because you can understand after a while. That's why we filter those people, and we only bring in the serious buyers who are capable of buying a business if they move forward. And after that, that's the time that we help a buyer put an LOI or initial offer and talk about the main points of their agreements with the seller. And if that's agreed upon, then they go to a stage that's called due diligence, that they dig into the information to make sure everything is as presented to them. And only after that, if they pass that stage, is the final stage, which is the agreement, financing, and everything, until we can close the sales. And at that last stage, the seller will help the buyer to learn about the business and be able to run it, which is the training and transfer portion of the whole process.
Sarah, is it your experience that allows you to know how serious a buyer is?
Definitely. There are certain criteria. When I talk to somebody from the beginning and they start saying they're answering my questions, that's when I find out if they're serious, they're experienced, they are not, and how much chance we have to get to the end with this person. Because, there are some people that they have big dreams, but it doesn't come from the experience. When you talk to them, you see that they're passionate and you really sometimes want to help them. But experience shows that a lot of time, if you don't build this experience step by step, you cannot go from here to here. You like to go from here to here, but you won't be able to do it. And we have done so many times. We have gone through the deal together, and there will be a time that you need to make serious decisions. And if you don't have that backup of the experience, then you won't be able to pass that stage. So that's what helps us to understand if somebody is really capable of getting to the end or not.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I was talking about this right before you came on. And be honest with me. So, what percent of the people who come to you, my business, when I had way overpriced it because it's my business, like my baby. But when I started with the business broker, they brought me down to earth. What percentage of the people out there were like me, thinking how much your business is worth?
It's natural, Sivo, because just imagine how many years you have worked hard to get there, so you have emotional attachment, whether you want it or not, to the business you have built. That's why I always, when I start talking to the business owners, I have a slide. I show them that, for you, business is these many things. It's your identity in the community, is how you know yourself. It was a lot of hard work. It's your family, all of these things. But for the buyers, it's just a money-making machine. That's it.
Right.
They don't see all of those other things. It's your legacy or whatever. They don't see that. It's just whether this money-making machine continue to make the same amount of money or not after the sale. That's the only thing that the buyers look and they want to make sure about it. That's why we have to translate every other thing to that one criteria. That is the first thing for the buyers to see if after acquisition and end of the deal, will they continue making the same amount of money or not?
Sarah, this is going on my 13th year with Ask the Experts. And we have discovered that for every letter we get, there's 10 more people out there with the same question. And I want you to walk me through the typical process of selling a business. But reason why I brought this up is I was shocked how many business owners did not know what a business broker was. We got 3 or 4 letters from business owners who saw that we're going to have a business broker on the show today who said, "What is a business broker?" Is that the norm?
It's always a norm. At least, I don't know, in Southern California where I work, that's always the case. Whenever I go to a networking event, a lot of them ask, what is a business broker? We have never had somebody like that. And the reason is that, like, in the state of California, we have 400,000 real estate agents, but we have 700 business brokers.
That many?
Yes, that's the difference. So
Wow.
that's why you see a lot of real estate agents, but you don't see that many business brokers. And one of the differences, so we, at least in California, we all have the same license, but after getting real estate license, we get a lot of extra education. And there is one very specific difference between the brokers and real estate agents, that we understand the business financials. As a real estate agent, you don't need to do that. That's why a lot of business brokers have a background of somehow being a business owner, dealing with financial, dealing with different aspects of being a business. And after they sell their business, they become a business broker. We always say that one of the most successful category of business brokers come from older business owners. They sell their business and then they become, that's why a lot of business brokers turn to business brokers at like ages like 40 something, 50. You rarely see people before that age that they are business brokers.
Can you walk us through the typical process of selling a business?
Yeah, sure. I briefly explained it to you. So first is the valuation, then is the packaging the business, preparing it for the market, then going to the market, talking to the buyers, and after that it's getting the offers, which is usually but by letter of intent. And after that we have the due diligence stage, that they go to the detail of the business. And then we have the ending part of it, which is the financing, agreements, lease, everything that needs to be done until we close the escrow. And then at the end is the training stage. That's the summary of the steps.
I had someone wrote us right before the show, wanted to know if you put together a brochure on the company that you're selling.
Yes. So there are 2 different types of documents we prepare. First one, we call it a teaser, that it has all of the highlights of the business without naming the business. That's what we use it before signing the NDA. That's what we send out to potential buyers. It says what is the main financial aspects of the business, what is the general industry, what is the how many years, how many employees, different titles that they can use to understand if this is a good fit for them or not. And the second document, we call it confidential business review, which goes through the details of the business, but they only access that document after they sign the NDA and they show us that they have the needed qualifications for buying this business. And that document, I would say, other than the selling process, is important because it's documenting all of the things that the seller is presenting a buyer to buy their business. So there is a lot of time that when a buyer buys a business and they are not successful, they come back and blame it on a seller, and they say, you said it's like that, it's like that. So that's why having a broker and documenting all of the things that you're presenting to a buyer, that will be something that one day you will be really thankful that you made that decision. Because if, God forbid, you get to that situation and you don't have anything like that, then you will be in serious trouble.
Okay, I'm going to make you laugh now. Watch this. So, one of the biggest things I learned by having a broker is you still need patience. You should have seen me the first couple months. And I got to tell everybody, it took about 7-8 months. But the way I was going, trying to do it myself, it would have taken years, maybe even never. But
yes, it's a very long process. And
yes,
I tell to my seller, I actually have a business right now. And so we got a buyer and he got so excited about it. And I told him, stop, okay? It's
yes,
not time to get excited. First of all, it's a long way. And secondly, we don't know when this person can't continue going forward and we have to bring another person. We have a saying that we always say that any deal is killed 3 times. So we have to bring them back. So it's a long process, and it's always a numbers game. The 1,000 people have to inquire about something until 100 of them decide to sign the NDA, and then 10 of them come forward and receive the information, and one of them starts talking to you. So it's a long process, and until we can go one after the other, like right now for this deal, we have just opened the escrow, but still we have to get the lease, we have to get the financing, we have one key employee that we always put it at the end of the process, but we have to be able to get their agreement and get their employee agreement to be able to get to them. So it's a very long process. It needs really a lot of patience. And the important thing is that since it's a long process, it's really important that during that time, you continue focusing on your business. If the business for any reason goes down, the deal is off, because now the business is not as valuable as before. So the buyer wants to bring the price down, the seller doesn't want to do that. So it's really important that the seller hire us, but they continue doing what they were doing. It's like nothing is happening until the time that they get the check from the escrow. That's it.
You would have laughed your head off me. Let me just tell people this. I was probably calling once a week, and I go, has anything happened? Well, you know what? If you think about it logically, if something's happened, I'm going to be the first or the second person to know about it. So I eventually learned patience with this. Even with a business broker, it doesn't happen overnight, but you don't understand. You've got such a better chance with a broker than you do trying to do it yourself.
Yeah, one of the reasons is again, it's a numbers game. The more people know about the sale of your business, the better chance you have. Like in our office right now, we have more than 15 full-time business brokers. In the state of California, as I told you, there are 700 business brokers. And as a member of California Association of Business Brokers, we work with a lot of them. Every week we send out our new listings. So all of those brokers who are working with the business buyers, business sellers, they know about it. So there is a chance that they know somebody and they can bring that person. So it's about the number of people who see them, and then after that, somebody who can guide them through the process and get them to the end.
Sarah, your show goes by so fast. Give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Sure. My number is 949-426-5655. 5067, and our website is www.zoombusinessbrokers.com.
And Sarah's with us every month. Wow, I can't tell you. I had so many more questions. We will do it next month. Thank you so much, Sarah. Have a great
Sure,
week.
thank you so much.
Bye-bye. That's
Bye.
Zoom Business Brokers. They are amazing. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have our weight loss show, one of our biggest shows we do.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And I told you it's a quick break. We're back. This next expert is without a doubt probably one of the best authorities when it comes to weight loss. He's an MD. He's a doctor in the California area. He's been with us several years now, and I have got so much respect for this doctor. Let's just bring him on. I cannot wait to get him on. Dr. Gupta.
How's it going, Steve? How's life?
You still have your beard.
I know, I still have it.
Dr. Gupta, I got to tell you, your industry has become, especially with the injections, your industry has become huge.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, your story, Dr. Gupta, you had, or still do, you have an incredible practice in internal medicine.
Yes.
And you saw this coming. And you basically almost changed your practice, though you still do internal medicine at the hospital. What made you decide to add this to your portfolio?
Well, I randomly went to the BC Medicine Association conference back in like 2014 or 15, and I fell in love with this field. And this is before the injections. And, I like to say I got into this world before Ozempic became cool.
Yeah.
But I was back then, and I always say that in our medical training and just I think societally, there's so much nihilism previously around weight, right? We're always trained to deal with the downstream effects of the diabetes and the hypertension, the strokes and heart attacks, but weight was thought you can't do anything about it, or it's like someone's individual fault or willpower, all that stuff. But for the first time after I went to that conference, I saw a group of providers and healthcare professionals and a bunch of different people, therapists, nurses, all types of people saying, no, there are ways, combining medicine with therapy, coaching, mindfulness, to help people with this really difficult issue that is fundamentally a result of our bodies in this food environment. But it was really liberating because treating people, getting people to lose weight, dropping people from BMIs of like over 45, 50 to below like 30 is life-changing, is adding decades of disease-free life for people, which is amazing. It's truly preventative medicine. So I shifted my career trajectory and eventually started Mindful Wellness, incorporating these medicines with, an actual comprehensive program, which, unlike a lot of other places who only do the medicines in 5-minute appointments, really we strive to provide the sustainable holistic approach that creates true change, using compassion and, actually caring for our patients to get this done.
Dr. Gupta, Mindful Wellness is such a perfect name for what you do.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I have learned as I read these texts that come in, I tell you what, this is what you're up against, Dr. Gupta. By the time someone reaches, say, their 40s, who are overweight, have tried so many things, Dr. Gupta.
Yes.
And they put all their faith in whether it was a supplement or whatever it was, and it did not work for them.
Yeah.
And I even know this from experience And what would happen is, first of all, you wouldn't give it long enough. If it didn't work in 2 weeks, that's it. It's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, because I have kidney problems, I was put on the Ozempic, and I had to do it through my Medicare. I got to tell you, it works.
Yes.
These skinny injections absolutely work, Dr. Gupta.
Yeah, 100%.
But you have to do other things with it. And that's where you really come in. Your whole technique, Dr. Gupta, makes it so much easier to do this program.
Yes. So, there's multiple inputs into the system, right? So we see our patients for an hour initially, have unlimited 30-minute appointments, including unlimited 30-minute one-on-one health coaching classes, one number for concierge service. And we do all of this high touch approach because, I use what I call the red button analogy, right? We can imagine all of these foods around us as these red buttons. And when we press it, we get a dopamine hit, which is proven by actually the data, because when you look at imaging and different things, these foods that are created now are so addictive. They're more addictive than cocaine even, right? So
exactly.
The central principle of being a human is we all seek to escape from suffering. So my line is, there's suffering in the world and Doritos feel good, right? So we have created this world of these red buttons around us, and that's the central dilemma. So how do we deal with that? We practice not having as many red buttons around us. We have some healthy blue buttons, but most importantly, we work on the decreasing the causes of our suffering to less incentivize ourselves to press the red button in the first place, right? And we use the medicines as powerful tools to help turn the volume down on all these natural food noises that our world creates. But in that space, we're actually able to do a lot of this work to create really fundamental change about how people deal with stress, how people deal with different stimuli, with boredom, with their relationships, with habits, with so many things, right? The medicines allow to give that space. And when you can do that work in that space, you can create really lasting change.
You see in the grocery stores, guiltless this and guiltless that, all these food products, guiltless. But I got to tell you, the way you teach your program, it's guiltless too, because you don't put pressure on people.
Yes.
Like you have to do this.
And it doesn't work. The number one reason is it doesn't work. And it's actually counterproductive, because when you feel like crap, you just want to eat more, right? The worse we make. And again, this is baseline hard, right? Because it's really important to understand that our bodies evolved in this caloric restricted environment. And so for hundreds of thousands of years, they had to get really good at running on very few calories, right? Because there were famines and there were things. So the thing is, in the last 70 years, this food environment, including a lot of those, companies who are trying to trick us by using
I think we lost Dr. Gupta. Maybe we can get him to come back in again.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. There you go.
Yeah. So, just all of these factors are making this so hard, right? And then when you put more guilt and criticism and shame and judgment on top of that, it is impossible. So it's really seemingly paradoxically, you got to go the other way. The number one thing is really practicing a lot of grace and self-compassion. And that's what we practice with our patients.
Dr. Gupta, you did something to your practice that I give you kudos to. By the time you see an adult patient, they've been living their whole life a certain way. And it's hard to break habits. I think it's so important that you start with your children.
Yes.
And you brought on one of the top pediatric doctors in California. And I think it's important that a parent get their children in for you to work with them so they can start them off at a much earlier age.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Amit Mishra, is a pediatric ICU doctor, also doing this work. Again, that's near and dear to my heart because I've said multiple times on the show, I struggle with weight as a kid. And, in studies we've seen, if you struggle with weight as a kid, you're more likely as an adult. But conversely, if you can help someone as a child with weight, you change again, even longer periods of time in their lives. And especially, we've all been to high school, we've all been to junior high, and just how psychologically and emotionally, all of these things affect us. And if we can help, people who are struggling with this at a very young age, it is just astronomical the amount of, change we can create in these people's lives.
Dr. Gupta, and you being an MD, you can explain this a lot better. Uh, I knew you keep hearing if you're overweight, it's going to hurt you. But until it really hurts, like in my case with my kidneys and high blood pressure, you don't really realize how dangerous being overweight is.
Yes.
Can you tell everybody, you being an MD, how important it is that you're not overweight?
Yeah. So weight is, associated with multiple risk factors for cardiovascular disease, hearts, heart attacks, strokes, osteoarthritis. You could have sleep apnea, which also, affects blood
Which
pressure.
I have.
Yeah. And so what happens is, I think a way to conceptualize it a little bit is that when your body starts storing fat, the first layer is like the subcutaneous, which is the fat you see. But after that gets filled up, your body starts storing fat in your organs. So you can have liver, which is fatty liver disease, which is the number one cause of cirrhosis in this country over alcohol. You can get stored in your heart, which is atrial fibrillation, other diseases, left ventricular hypertrophy, like heart failure. That's a risk factor for it. In your pancreas, which can affect your insulin production, get you diabetes, and just everywhere in your body like this. So unfortunately, excess weight is just associated with multiple disease processes, including one people don't even know is cancer itself, because of increased insulin-like growth factor and increased estrogen. But the good news is losing weight reverses or improves a lot of those risk factors also, right? So I think it's really important that it's not like a hopeless thing, especially now with these revolutionary molecules, and especially how we use these medicines with our program. It is completely, you can dramatically improve health outcomes by helping people lose weight. So, it is, of course, really harmful for our weight, our health, excess weight, but again, it's something that we can help and really, really ameliorate some of the worst effects of.
I tell you what surprised me was I was told when you have kidney problems, major kidney problems, that your kidneys will never get better. What they want to do is they don't want to get them worse.
Yeah.
And since I started on the skinny injection, my numbers have come down in the places they need to come down.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Even my nephrologist was even shocked. But I know it's from the weight loss.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. The amount of weight just, in so many different ways with blood pressure, especially, when you bring someone's blood pressure down, you bring their insulin resistance down, just some of the anatomical and biomechanical stuff, of the fat, excess fat in our bodies and the deposition to organs. And also obesity is a low-grade inflammatory state. So I'm not surprised by that at all, right? Like I think just weight improves like everything from, of course, like regular arthritis, but even things like rheumatoid arthritis or autoimmune diseases. There's just so many benefits of weight loss.
Well, I want people to realize that it is dangerous being overweight. And in fact, people are so busy, Dr. Gupta.
Mm-hmm.
I know stress plays a big part in this.
Yes.
How do you keep your patients? How do you get rid of the stress?
The answer isn't getting rid of it. You can't get rid of stress, right? Stress is just a natural product, especially in our busy lives. But you find ways to incorporate self-care, right? So the thing is that stress response is a chronic activation of your sympathetic system. So you have to practice triggering your parasympathetic system at times. So often people work till like 11 p.m. or something, so I say like, okay, let's work till 10 starting, and let's take 20 minutes where you're not answering emails, you're away from family, you're taking that, like doing something not necessarily productive, even maybe watching TV on your phone or something, whatever it is different for everybody, but something that can help with disconnection of everything. Or like, I say nothing's off the table, like building in breaks, or like a lot of it's structural, like let's brainstorm how we can delegate some of your work to decrease your workload, right? Like, is because like, multiple people in the productivity world have written about this, like oftentimes not everything we're doing is really the most optimal thing, right? There's plenty of areas where we can perhaps kind of optimize things to, free up some space. And I always say that you have to fight for your self-care, right? Because like you can't take care of the world unless you take care of yourself. And so really it's, a variety of, talking to people, practice, figuring out creative solutions, but trying to improve it, right? It will never go to zero. And of course, people have different levels of this, but often there's always ways to have some sort of, improvement in the stress levels.
This is something I love about your practice that you and I haven't even discussed yet. Because the skinny injection is so popular, we are getting a lot of emails from clinics that they're just in the business of sending those injections out. That's it.
Yeah. That's like,
it's like walking into GNC and trying to buy that one pill. It's going to make you lose weight.
Yes.
With you start way before that. Like, you find out what the problem is.
Yes.
And do you understand me? Does that make sense? You got to be really careful on these companies who just want to send you the injection.
Yeah.
You do so much more than that.
Yes. So, again, we're a full like internal medicine practice, practicing evidence-based medicine. We use the medications though. We 100% use them because they are revolutionary tools. I'm a big believer in them. But, we use them in a safer, because we have so much support. We have, unlimited, basically 30-minute appointments where we check in with our patients. We have one number, but also we use them to make them more effective, right? By addressing some of the causes and conditions that have contributed to this, we can use these medications in a much more optimal way and get so much more weight loss and improvement and changes in body composition by doing all these things. We do lab workups. We just really make sure we're using them what I think is the right way to use these medicines. I think that there's plenty of clinics that sell 5-minute appointments and sell the shots, but our prices for what we offer are competitive with all of those places as well. So we're able to do this and really trying to build up our practice and trying to provide this holistic, comprehensive approach to this issue.
Dr. Gupta, I want to make sure I get this in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I've gotten 4 text messages. 3 of them said, I know you're in California, but here's one in Florida, which we're out of. Here's 2 of them are in Texas. Tell people how you work when someone's in a different city or state.
So we're getting boarded in, our goal is to get boarded everywhere, but we can do all of this virtually, right? We see tons of patients virtually. Probably 60-70% of our patients are virtual. But we're boarded currently in California, Nevada, Arizona, Washington. We just got Oregon, Texas, Florida, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland. I said Georgia, Tennessee. I'm probably missing some, but we're boarded in Illinois. We're boarded in more than 50% of the United States population. So in all those states you mentioned, we can see Texas, Florida, 100%. We can see patients in both those states.
Do you do it through Zoom?
Yeah, we do it through Zoom.
Well, I got to tell you, you have built up such a reputation, such a great reputation, Dr. Gupta. And, it's funny, when I go into a supplement store, there's always, you hear someone What's that weight loss pill? What's the what what I take to lose weight? And these are people that are hourly people usually, and they give you a pill. There is so much to know about the human body, and everybody's body is different. How can you just give one pill?
Plus, those aren't regulated, right? Those GNC stuff is like not regulated. So I wouldn't recommend those products for weight loss. Those aren't necessary. You don't know. And, there've been multiple studies that have shown that a lot of times what's on the label isn't actually in the powder, right? So
you're kidding me.
Yeah. So that's another level. Like, you don't know what you're getting. There's companies that do, say, verify it. So you have to buy the supplements with some of those labels on it. But, a lot of companies, there's no regulation on it.
How about Dr. Gupta, older people, say 60 and up, that are having, doesn't matter what they do, they might eat very little and they're still gaining weight. Can it still be hormonal?
Yeah, I mean, there's like 1,000+ factors, more than that, like including genetics and everything, right? But we can deal with what we can deal with, right? We have to do a lot of the factors we can't really change, in terms of that. But in terms of, we do test for it, like if someone has a thyroid issue and stuff, it's rare. It's not really the most common thing. But what we do is, deal with someone's life and figure out what factors we can actually intervene on to help get this done. For older population, just for all our patients, we do body compositions. Like if you're in either LA or Vegas, or we find a place, or we figure out a place where someone can do it if we see someone remotely. But really, we talk about weight just because it's the most easily available metric. But what we really need to, talk about is what's important is body fat percentage and muscle mass. And those are the things we really control for. So like, even if, someone's elderly, we talk about weight loss, but we really try to measure the amount of muscle and make sure they're not losing muscle, and we're trying to lose fat and everything.
This is Lois. She's in Las Vegas, and she said, I'm 68 years old. I've, of course, already gone through menopause. I've been told that taking hormones is bad for me.
In terms of, she's 68, you said?
Yes, already been through menopause.
Yeah, so 68 is a little bit later for hormone replacement, just because you do it a few years. We actually don't have our currently Mindful Menopause program up and running at the moment. We are probably going to restart it soon. So, but in terms of weight loss, we would still do all the other things. We can still use some of the shots and the other medicines, plus all of our other behavioral interventions to help her.
Dr. Gupta, it is, I am so blessed that we have you. Let's give everybody your phone number and your website.
Yeah, sure. So just go to, if you want to make an appointment, just go to mindfulwellness.com. It's very easy, mindfulwellness.com, and also can call 310-220-4543. Again, 310-220-4543.
And can they make an appointment on your website?
Yeah, they can make an appointment on the website.
And I'm going to tell parents this, get your kids in there, especially if you're in the Los Angeles area. Get them started early. I am telling you, yes, it's the best thing you can do as parents. Dr. Gupta, it's always wonderful seeing you. We'll see you again next month.
See you soon, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Gupta. He is such a wonderful, wonderful doctor, both internal medicine, weight loss. That's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.